I think it's about time we get back to football on this channel. Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Hurricane, and this is my first Madden 24 rebuild and video over on this channel. I've been so focused on baseball lately, and there still will be a lot of the Oakland A's franchise. I have a lot to do still there, but I want to get some Madden content going, and I know I usually have a big rebuild going by now. I'm looking to do some smaller projects until I'm ready to dive into a big franchise over here. So today we get that started. And we're going to be rebuilding the worst team in the NFL. The way I like to do it, we don't just take the lowest overall team in the game. What I'm going to do is simulate a few years into the future. But I want whoever is the worst team after 3 or 4 years. We'll see how long I want to wait for simulating to work. This was an idea for a rebuild I came up with last year when the draft reset bug had taken over franchise mode. And it's a lot of fun because, for one, it's just rebuilding a bad team, but also moving into the future means you're basically cleaning up the CPU's mess on whatever team that is. And one of the most fun things for me in this series, and I've done this now a couple times, but it's just to see the roster and the state it's in, because with the CPU getting control for a few years, who knows what you're gonna get. Oh, and by the way, I like to give myself a 5-year time limit, so I'm taking over the worst team and I want to see how far I can take them in 5 years, and then I'm leaving. Whoa, I'm shocked the Chiefs and Cowboys met in the Super Bowl. At least in this game, Ezekiel Elliott can't break all of Emmitt Smith's rushing records because he's not on the Cowboys anymore. By the way, as we travel into the future, I do have some slight XP slider tweaks here. I have the offensive linemen basically getting double their development because they never get any love here in Madden. And then I have also cranked up the regression on the running backs to 160%. I'm still working through progression and regression sliders, and I think that with what you're given here, all these options, I want to be able to come up with a true solution that I've never had before for future rebuilds, but I don't have it right now. So we're going to go to the year 2027. That's going to give these teams 3 years to build and prepare. We will take them over following their season when we know they were the worst team in the NFL. And we're going to get started right away with the offseason. And we're going to go through that offseason and the entire first year in this video. If you enjoy this concept and want more rebuilds like this on the channel, please leave a like and leave some feedback down below in the comments. The team reveal, who is it going to be? Well, it's not going to be the Kansas City Chiefs at 12-5, or the New York Jets, the Raiders, or the Chargers. Let's take a look at these league standings. It doesn't matter if it's the Green Bay Packers. I've never done anything with them in Madden. I will take them over as a Viking fan, and I promised I would absolutely try my hardest. We're taking over the New Orleans Saints, who just wrapped up a 1-16 season, losing their final 13 games. Excellent tank job, guys. They didn't win a single game at home, and they got to play 9 games there. How on earth do you lose 9 home games in 1 year? That's a first in NFL history, I think. I wonder if these menus could possibly get any slower. This is definitely the slowest performing interface I've seen on a PlayStation 5. But we got our team. Wow, they had an awful defense this year. 31st in points allowed, 28th in points scored. The New Orleans Saints didn't do a whole lot well this year. But this is what I look forward to. The roster reveal. Here's what we've got to work with. The New Orleans Saints. Who's their quarterback even right now? That's not Derek Carr. I don't know where he is. Eli Rushing, the latest quarterback to be selected by Quarterback Factory North Dakota State. 6'6", 235 with a big arm. He can run a little bit. This team also has Tyler Huntley at quarterback, and then at receiver, it's Chris Olave, Got John Mechie on this team. And then looks like a star dev player here. Oh, that's Jake Ferguson, the tight end. Okay. So they brought over Jake Ferguson, it looks like, from Dallas. But Derek Carr is gone. Alvin Kamara is gone. They brought in Joe Mixon, who's now a 77. So here's the power of that 160% regression. You don't see many running backs in the NFL starting in their 30s. There's one in the league right now, and that's Raheem Mostert. Now, what I like here is the offensive line is not bad, and they've drafted one player, it looks like, with star dev. Still have Trevor Penning, Eric McCoy, Ryan Ramczyk, so the offensive line could be a whole lot worse. And you got at least one good playmaker here in Chris Olave. We go to the defense now. Got some star dev players here at least. You got Marshawn Lattimore, and at this stage, he would be a little bit older at 31 years old. And keep in mind that regression hasn't yet hit this team. Like, we're in the playoffs right now, so anybody who's older, you can expect to be a little bit worse. And then we have to get into contracts and everything. But really, there isn't a young standout player that's kind of carrying things. There are some solid players, but clearly it's not enough. All right, so we've got our starting point here in New Orleans. Let's just check on retirements and regression. There are a couple players that I'm wondering about. But, oh great, Ryan Ramczyk retires. So suddenly there's a large need at right tackle. And we might actually be in okay shape for that. We have a star dev right tackle here, Darren Gallery, in his 3rd season. So, 27th ranked starter, that's not great, but I guess it could be worse. We're gonna need to address running back, and you bet we will. If you're not familiar with this channel, well, you're gonna get to know real quick. But we got Eli rushing here at quarterback, and I think the first thing you decide here is if you're picking number 1, you know, is this a Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen situation? Are we happy with this quarterback, or do we want whoever the best in the next class is? He's a 75, and he's only 23. So I feel like this is not a bad starting point, and you could spend that number 1 pick elsewhere and make a big difference. I feel like if you could get a pass rusher or an interior defensive lineman who's like a blue chip talent with that number 1 pick, that's probably my preferred route, and this team could use that difference maker. A star dev player at 76 overall is certainly not bad, especially if they're young, but I think when like that's the best you have, then you start to look at a pretty bad unit. You've got to find someone who's a difference maker. Making sure we have all of our picks, and thankfully they did not do a bunch of trading, so we just got the number 1 pick in all 7 rounds. And we also get to upgrade the quarterback, so I think Eli Rushing is the player we're going to try and build around. When I've done these rebuilds in the past, there was definitely no quarterback on there that you could really stick with, but in this case, I feel pretty good about Eli Rushing. Now, I do wonder if Marshawn Lattimore is going to be up for his contract, because typically in Madden, once players get to their 30s at cornerback, they just want 1-year deals. First up, though, we got a 5th-year option on Tyrone Thorne. He's 25 years old and 80 overall. I think we'll start off by picking this one up. He's strong, has good power moves, and I think he could be a foundational player for us in this rebuild. But certainly, we're not going to be keeping around a bunch of 30-year-old corners or anything. And because we simulated through the year, a lot of these decisions are going to already be made. Like, the CPU is going to have handled the contract negotiating. So, I really don't get to start doing anything until free agency shows up. It's just a matter of if I want to actually use the franchise tag. And on this roster, I probably don't. And you could certainly do a whole lot worse than our coordinator situations. So let's just take a look at what these 2 coordinators give us a boost towards. So here we're looking at our offensive coordinator, and he's going to help out quarterback awareness and deep accuracy, while also helping out the finesse blocking ratings for the guards. And looks like he also is a halfback guru and is specializing here in pass catching backs. So maybe that's something we should look at adding to this team. While on defense, looks like our focus is going to be on strength for defensive ends, and then middle linebackers are going to get a boost. Block shed for defensive ends is also nice. So already having a bunch of stuff here gives us, I think, an okay starting point. When you combine that with the O-line and the quarterback situation, you could certainly have a worse draw than this for the worst team. It does seem like our coordinator favors zone coverage, so I'll keep that in mind, but we should also get our scheme set for this run. So it appears that our offensive linemen are mostly agile, and considering they have pretty good developments, I want to go with one of the schemes that favors the agile linemen, and vertical zone run already gives us a scheme fit percentage of 80. I also want to give a boost to our front seven, and this disguise 3-4 is going to work there, but it will kind of conflict with our coordinator who helps out more with zone coverage. This will be looking for more man-to-man corners, but we're going to make that work. Let's go with the Matt LaFleur playbook for the offense. Seems to fit what we're trying to do. And then the Pete Carroll defense. Here's the team, by the way, if we sort by overall, and we only have 3 players that are in the 80s right now, and that's Eric McCoy, Marshawn Lattimore, and Chris Olave. And 2 of those players are already at their regression ages, while Olave will be there next season, so after next year. Right away, I think Marshawn Lattimore is a pretty good option for us to look at trading, whether it be here during the offseason or maybe for future picks, because one little wrinkle to this style of series is because I'm taking over a team brand new in the playoffs, I don't get to spend the entire year scouting, which means I have a lot less info than I traditionally would. But that's kind of offset by having the number 1 pick, and that's like the easiest pick to make. So the first draft is always a little bit weird once you get past that number 1, and then it obviously changes as you just scout traditionally. So we might have some players on this team that we should be more so looking to trade. I think about like Pete Werner here, off-ball linebacker, 30 years old. That's kind of an easy decision, I'd say. We do have a running back here. We have the option of developing Stephon Winston, and he's only 22 years old at 74 overall, so I would be inclined to work on developing him. 4th round pick in 2027, and looks like he has a decent size and speed at 228 pounds. He doesn't catch the ball that well, though, so a little bit limited, but maybe part of a 2-headed backfield. So I put out a player progression video on my main channel where I went through like how every position develops and just how some ins and outs work. So when it comes to progression, age is the number 1 thing you want to look at, outside of development traits, of course, but a 22-year-old is going to develop faster than a 23-year-old, and it doesn't matter how many years of experience they have. So 24-year-old rookies are not all that intriguing just because they're rookies. Depending on position, running back is a spot where they regress the earliest. 27 years old is when running backs begin to decline. That doesn't mean they're useless as soon as they hit 27, but here's a minus 12 for Russ Jowers. We've got to go find a running back under 22 or under 23 that can complement Stephon Winston. And we're going to start emptying this roster a little bit. We're going to release Joe Mixon and eat a little dead cap there. I really don't think that outside of Chris Olave, there is a good starter right now on this team. So finding a number 2 receiver is going to be one of our number 1 objectives. John Mechie's only a 71. So if you just think about like the top 32 receivers being number 1s, the next 32 being number 2s, it's not actually that simple, but it's good to know, like, maybe the number 71 guy, unless he's like 22 years old, maybe he shouldn't be your number 2 receiver then. So Mechie, I would think, is a 3 at best. Tight end, definitely get younger, but this is not a spot that I prioritize. Like, if you have a chance to to gain an edge there without spending a lot of money or high draft capital, then you do it. Otherwise, like, being average at tight end is just fine. And usually the teams that luck out at tight end, they didn't give up premium capital to get that player in the first place. They just get lucky. Well, that's real life anyway. You know, third round picks right now are the best tight ends in the NFL. Trevor Penning, 29 years old. So we got an okay starting left tackle. Kendrick Green. You can get by with this line, but clearly regression's going to hurt. But the right side seems mostly set up. For sure, we're going to build around Tyrone Thorne. We just picked up his fifth-year option, so we desperately need that move to work out. But unfortunately, like, Brian Bresee didn't develop as well as you would have liked here. So only normal dev on him, 26 years old. Kind of miss your chance to turn him into like a high caliber starter. Looks like he's good for like your rotational defensive tackle. So Pete Werner's a really good run defender right off the bat. 85 speed and 90 tackle. At 78 overall, will do fine in that role. DeAndre Melton is the other starting outside linebacker. And I'll have to fix these positions because Werner should not be an outside linebacker in a 3-4. He'll be inside. And then we got Alex Alexander here. So star dev, 25 years old. I think that we got at least a solid starter right there. Number 28 starting linebacker. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that spot too much. And cornerback doesn't have a lot of young promise. Looks like Marquise Brayton is our best option, and we should get him a lot of snaps. At least a lot of these guys I'm calling out have star dev. So all of these players do have some potential, but Brayton needs to work on that man coverage. Low press as well. Kind of has safety ratings. I'm trying to lean against just moving corners to safety because I feel like I've done that so much in the past, and it's just kind of tired. Kerry Woody at free safety and Jimmy Carroll at strong safety. They got a lot of just okay players on this team. So we've got plenty of money to spend here in free agency, but are the right moves there for New Orleans? Let's see what the free agent pool looks like here. And Madden is going to give us... Oh, this is awful. And this is why you need XP sliders for a lot of these projects. 84 overall is the best we can do right away. And we obviously don't want to add a bunch of older players. So we might not have many opportunities here in free agency. Unless you want to go get a running back here in Rashawn Holiday. I'm not against this. He's a year away from regression though. So 81 overall is going to be his ceiling, and that'd be good for a year. He fits scheme wise, but does it honestly make sense? I was noticing that regression hit a number of running backs really hard, but here's what it looks like as we go a few years into the future across the NFL. You still have a lot of good starters, but notice that they're actually the age of star running backs in the NFL. Very few players here in their 30s, but still some. And you know, guys like Saquon Barkley, who are, you know, a lot better than the average running back, like they should have more longevity. But when I get to my big franchises and projects, I want you to be able to go 5 years into the future and see that the NFL is, you know, stars drafted in the last few years and not just like an older version of the base roster with a few superstars that were drafted taking over a few small roles. Now that we have these options for regression and XP sliders, and it's just way deeper than it's been, I want to come up with something really cool. And I think this 160 is honestly doing a pretty good job. Not to get sidetracked too much here, but I plan on going like position by position and just taking a look at how players are developing and seeing like, okay, based on how well he performed, do I feel like this progression is fair? So when I see Jahmyr Gibbs caps out at 85-86, I'm looking to see what type of a career he's had. And he hasn't had like an amazing career. He's had a couple good seasons. So I can understand him being an 85, for instance. So I don't think this free agency is going to be flashy. We're going to start by offering a contract to Jared Goff because he is a mentor now. And we could certainly use that. What's going to be interesting too is, like, because you're taking over the worst team here, like, a lot of players just want nothing to do with you right off the bat as a result. Okay, this might be a spot where we get more aggressive. Womack isn't completely ruling us out. Zach Womack's a 26-year-old, 83 overall. That would allow us to get, like, our tackles figured out and one less thing to worry about for the future on this team. And we can maybe trade Trevor Penning. I know what type of a player he is. My last franchise I did on the main channel, you know, I had Penning. I know what he's about. So I want Womack. And by the way, I talked about running backs will regress at 27 years old. Well, offensive linemen, they don't start regressing until they're 31. So it's vastly different looking at veteran running backs versus veteran linemen. I'd love to get a young corner in here, but I think most of the good ones are probably signed. But I might take a chance here trying to sign D'Angelo Farrell, although he's got no interest in us. Apparently New Orleans is a small market. And then one of the other free agents that's available, I don't know that we'll get him, but Devontae Young. So we could just throw a bunch of money, I think, at some front seven players and try to get as much talent there as possible. That can be a good way to try to quickly rebuild a defense. So he would play along the line for us. Trying to get aggressive here because we're competing with half the league, and we'll see if that ends up being enough. Evaluate that. 2 players still undecided, and we do bring in 2 players. So Devontae Young does sign. He's star dev, power rusher, and Young has very similar ratings to the player whose 5th-year option we had picked up. I think we have our interior rush situation already taken care of for the most part. 2 big, strong, powerful rushers. And then we got Jared Goff, so that's going to help out our development. Now, when I was doing some testing around with the mentorship tag and how that actually, like, helps out the other quarterbacks, it seemed to me like mentors really only helped out players who were starting. So it didn't seem to help if you had a mentor like Jared Goff starting and then teaching your backup. It didn't seem to work that way. Like, the player who was first on the depth chart would get the benefit, is what I saw. Evaluation number 2, and well, we got a cornerback now, D'Angelo Farrell, but we did not end up getting Zach Womack. How many times have I lost free agent battles here to the Miami Dolphins over the years? Come on, man. We could have been in on Rashawn Holiday, but no interest in us and already 26 years old. That's just not going to work. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'm not sure what everybody likes for trade difficulty right now in this game, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to be playing on very hard. So we can trade Tyler Huntley now because he did not have the mentor tag, and he's a 75 overall, so we might actually be able to get something for him. The Rams are offering us a 24-year-old corner. And we are looking for man-to-man corners. I don't think this is a bad trade at all. And he's just coming off of his first season. Probably just be like a slot corner for us. So that deal is done. We're also going to work a deal here with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to trade them Andrew Booth for a 6th-round pick in the future. And then tight end Brian McGriff. We have some younger corners that are going to get playing time. We only had 1 tight end on the roster, so now we double that, and McGriff is entering his 2nd year, so we brought in a couple young players, and honestly, they have a couple intriguing skills, and I think they're decent additions to start playing. Oh, hey, as a bonus, the cornerback we traded for, he had a skill point available the Rams never spent, so he actually ends up getting a little bit better. And we brought back safety Kerry Woody, so we have at least an okay veteran starter if we don't draft somebody. The rest of this is basically going to have to go through the draft. And right now, they're projecting us to actually go with a wide receiver at the top with Vaughn Bennett. I would consider it. So he's a playmaker at 23 years old, 5'11", 199. He fits well with San Francisco twice, apparently. Deebo Samuel, single-handedly, had to change the way receivers come into Madden. Why'd he have to do that? Here's Vaughn Bennett. He is trying to be Deebo Samuel. And there's a lot to like. He's a very good route runner, has good release, spec catch, hands. Then we got Dane Patton. If we want to go offensive line, and after losing Ryan Ramczyk, that is an option. Antoine Keenan, the first round edge rusher. Peter Ellis, Dave Fields. So I definitely want to take somebody who has like a top 5 projection. Now, the scouting here, obviously, the percentages are a little bit weird in some areas. Like, I'm probably not going to go quarterback, but we do have an 80% on Vaughn Bennett. I'll probably want to give him an individual workout so we can know his talent for sure. And then I'd also like to find a running back to develop within this offense. And Andrew Wheeler's got the athleticism to catch your attention. Runs a 4.32 40 at his pro day. Has great speed. Breaks tackles. And I think he'll be able to catch the football a little bit. If he's a round 1 to 2 player, I'd definitely be interested there in the second round. So we have the option then of starting this draft with a new number 1 running back and a new number 1 receiver. Not in that order. And I'm not the biggest fan of the rest of this running back class. It's pretty thin there at the very top. There are some alright players, but I'm looking specifically for someone who could help us out as a receiving back right away and has good athleticism overall. It's just been a tough stretch of Maddens to develop lower rated running backs. Like, you got to be mid 70s before you can even simulate and do anything okay. But I wouldn't rule out Mitch Reese here. He seems like an okay option. He does have the receiving back archetype and has a lot of what I'm looking for. So we have at least 2 running backs, one early, one late we can look at. And then someone's going to take Earl Chancellor, who has 4.2 speed. He is elite with speed and acceleration. And then he's got F catching, which from what I saw in the past with this type of player, that F catching is usually not as low as you're thinking. Like, it's not going to be a 53 unless it's changed in this game. I've seen F catching turn into 70, which doesn't look as bad when the guy runs a near record-setting 40-yard dash. But ultimately, if I don't get the running back there in the second round, one option I'll have is to try to find that, like, true left tackle starter of the future, because Trevor Penning won't be that guy. Unfortunately here, Morris Gordon has poor strength, which kind of hurts, but otherwise, I like him as a prospect. I also kind of like Trayvon Beckham here. We're looking at B awareness, B run block, and now the pass blocking is a little more iffy. And he does have pretty balanced athleticism. So he might be a run blocking first player, but he is a really good athlete, has solid strength, and he's a day 3 projected player. Like, you could certainly do a lot worse. I think he could be a starter is all. It's a pretty top-heavy class here at tackle. I wonder if there's someone who could slip to round 2 just because there's 4 or 5 pretty good options. Some more complete than others. But I really like pretty much all of the top 6. Alright, Madden is generating 6'4" corners that run a 4.3. Why aren't you playing receiver? Are you actually a receiver? Do you have two-way flexibility, perhaps? He has A catching. Like, this guy's a receiver. He's gotta be. I feel like once we get to our second pick, we're going to have a lot of really good options. Some of these round 1 to 2 players, I'm just like, yes, I love that prospect. Antoine Staley, for instance, above average, every category, did a really good job at the combine, and he's a hybrid safety with A-man coverage, B tackle, B hit power. Like, here's a day 1 slot, starting safety, great athlete. Count me in. But how am I going to get him? A receiver, corner hybrid, a running back? Going to have to make some tough decisions, it looks like. And here was the top quarterback prospect, by the way. Like, this is who we'd be passing on. Gordon Strickland. Now, is it worth the risk, to just take a quarterback and maybe he has X factor? I just don't want to take that risk. I feel like we have some really good things going for this team, and if we build upon them the right way, we might have enough success. And I've never won a Super Bowl in one of these rebuilds. I came awful close in the second time I did it. I want to say the one bug with private workouts is fixed, where it would sometimes not even scout the players you told it to. I tested that out like day 1 or 2 on the game. So I want to finish Vaughn Bennett because I am thinking about him with that number 1 selection. This is the other top 5 player we might want to consider in Dave Fields. B block shed, B finesse, definitely a good athlete. Like, he's certainly not going to be a bad player. None of the core skills are going to be an A, but he's going to be extremely well-rounded. Do you value that more so, or the receiver? I feel like tiebreaker, just the way the game sims and is played nowadays, is to go offense, isn't it? So I want to scout Vaughn Bennett. We're going to scout Devin Turner from Florida, and we're also going to be scouting the running back, Andrew Wheeler. So Vaughn Bennett does have top 5 talents, so at 100% complete, we know that he does deserve to go in the top 5. Speed is only solid, but pretty much everything else is in a good spot. I like that he's a complete route runner. That's hard to find. Injury-wise, though, at F injury, that is a little bit risky. But it feels like a high-risk, high-reward kind of pick, and he's so good at so many things. I think it's worth the chance. Now, we didn't complete Wheeler's profile, but we got it to 90%. So, do we think he's RB1 material with B break tackle? He has B to C catching. Didn't give us the short route running, but that doesn't look to be great. He looks like a solid running back, but now I'm wondering, like, does he really deserve to go over some of these other players if they're available at 33? Devin Turner, B-man, B-zone coverage. That alone is a combination that you rarely see out of prospects, at least going back to past years. Another player who could be injury prone. But we got players so intriguing, I think I look past the injury risk. Turner's an incredible prospect. He should really be a round 1 guy, which makes me think he will be. All right, let's get to drafting, everybody. Building up this Saints team here in the first offseason. And we're going to start it off with a wide receiver going at number 1. It will be Vaughn Bennett. Pairing him with Chris Olave, we'll have a really good tandem for our young quarterback. And he has hidden development as expected. 89 speed, I think, will be just fine. And we're going to be simulating here, so I'm not really concerned with it. If we get to a Super Bowl, we might watch some highlights from a few games here or there anyway, but certainly if we make it to a Super Bowl, we want to highlight that. But the question now becomes, how much of an impact can we make with that next pick? And is there maybe a way we can get a couple players? Like, what if we paired Marshawn Lattimore in our 3rd round pick to get back into the 2nd round, or to help us just get 3 players in like the top 45 picks or something? That would definitely jumpstart things and have this team looking pretty darn good for the first season. So there goes Tyron Butler, who goes to the New England Patriots. He was another corner I liked in this class. I think I'm willing to think about a trade up at this point, because this team does need a difference maker in the secondary to take over for Lattimore. Looking at the available board, Turner comes in 12, but that's behind a lot of tackles. So if a team is just not going tackle, he might be in the top 5 on their board. And there's also a quarterback, and teams picking in the 20s typically don't need quarterback. So I kind of treat this like he's going to be a high priority. We're not going to try trading with the Jets. I wanted to include Marshawn Lattimore, but they literally can't handle his contract. The Jets will instead go with a tackle. And we have moved up. It took a few teams to get this to work, but Marshawn Lattimore with the 2nd round pick gets us back into the 1st round. So Lattimore was already 32. He wasn't really going to be part of our 5-year rebuild here. It was nice that he was a mentor, but I think I'd rather make sure we can secure the cornerback I really want to get here. Maybe I could have gotten him in the second round, but you know, I've waited around and simulated enough picks and watched great talent not fall anywhere close to me. We're getting Devin Turner, and I just want to know if he's as good at receiver as he is at corner. He's our selection. Yikes, normal development. 95 speed, 92 acceleration at 6'4". Ain't nothing normal about that, Madden. With B-man, B-zone coverage, that ain't normal. Oh, of course it's Seattle taking the first round running back. He was never going to fall to us anyway. So now we move all the way to the third round, and we'll see who is left. All right, I think I found who I want here in the third round. How about a linebacker with A-zone coverage, who also happens to run a 4.4, has elite speed? Do I have to say anything more than that? What do you mean normal again? Now in the fourth round, we are going to take Trayvon Beckham. He's a scheme fit tackle who might be able to take over one day for Trevor Penning. I think he could be decent if the pass block C to F doesn't turn into an F. But we're here in the fourth round. He's a good athlete. I think it's the right time for him. Another normal development starter. Next, I'm going with a nose tackle who put up over 40 reps on the bench press. And he does have some decent block shed and then C power, B to D finesse. I like Dante Norton here in this spot as we get another normal development player. I like the talents we're getting, just the development isn't favoring us. Looks like a lot of receivers have fallen here into the sixth round. I'm not sure if they're all just not that good, but it seems to be a good chance for us to maybe look at adding one more playmaker. Let's go with Sean Moreland here. A spec catch, B release. It's the sixth round. He runs a 4.4. Hidden development on Sean Moreland, who was like the 7th or 8th receiver on the board. I just didn't want to take another playmaker. And there was at least a couple skills there that I like, so got lucky there. We might have someone to get the ball to this year, in addition to Olave and the rookie we took at number 1. Now, I do have this kicker on my board. I wanted to get our rookie kicker, Kevin Barretta. So another normal dev player, 88 kick power is all right. And here in a move that no one saw coming in the 7th round, we're going to actually draft a running back. Zach Glover. Normal development. All right, how'd we do here in the draft? We know we got 2 hidden dev receivers out of it. We got a 78, a 77, a 75, a 72 at D tackle, and then another 70, that's kicker. But I think this is a pretty good draft here. So Vaughn Bennett right away. Obviously a day 1 starter across from Chris Olave. And already you get 2 really good receivers to pair up. And they're both very different types of players. But then we already have our third guy who is ready to rock. In 6th rounder perhaps, Sean Moreland. Well, at 68, I don't know how good he's going to be right away, but what I found in my player progression research video that I did was that when a player has hidden development, they're essentially developing as if they had superstar. So I took players who had hidden dev and I edited their development to be star or superstar just to take away the hidden dev. And even for players who were meant to be star, their XP requirements went up. They needed more than when they were hidden. So when a player has hidden dev, it's a good time to try to get them as much development as you can. And we'll see if we can have some success with Sean Moreland. But given these overalls are higher, I feel really good about getting day 1 starters out of guys like Devon Turner here from Florida. And I really want to know if he can play some receiver. 75 catching. Let's just take a look. He's only a 48 at wide receiver. I really thought we might have found a two-way player. So we didn't take an early running back, and I don't know if I want to go into the season with just who we had, so I'm going to sign one more player here. We got Theo Gardner joining the team. Gotta have a third tight end, and Gary Foley is the highest rated UDFA available, so he's also going to join the squad. And we already have the chance to mentor one of our rookies. Who is it going to be? Oh, Chris Olave is already impressed with Vaughn Bennett. I can't wait to work with him. I think he has a high ceiling, and I want to help him reach it. Immediate impact or long-term development? I'm going to go immediate impact. I'm sure his development will take care of itself, and I just want to make sure he can make an impact as early as possible. I don't know how this one works out yet, but I think that one pops up like every offseason or every preseason, it seems. We're going to bring in a veteran as well who can be a mentor, and that is Grady Jarrett for our defensive lineman. All right, what's Chris Olave going to tell us now? I spent a lot of time with Vaughn Bennett. After practice this week, I gave him a few pointers to shape his game, and it really seemed to help. So, Chris Olave has helped our rookie Vaughn Bennett already get 4,500 experience. And Bennett's already earned a pair of upgrades, and he's only played in one preseason game. So, this is a pretty big help. He's 23 years old, a little bit older as a rookie, but comes in with good overall and obviously a lot of good ratings. I think I want to definitely keep him in the slot and give him a lot of boosts in that area. So hopefully he can get a lot of volume in our offense and rack up a lot of yards. And then we get to upgrade Callum Swanson already, and I think he's going to be an easy plug-and-play starter. Just got unlucky there on the development, but he doesn't really need to develop to be a good player. Well, preseason couldn't have gone a whole lot worse. We were the worst team in the league last year, and perhaps the worst preseason team this year, scoring 21 points in the 3 games and giving up a league-high 89 points. Not looking good. Jared Goff was picked off 5 times. I don't know if I want him as a mentor. He's going to teach rushing a lot of bad habits with those 5 picks. Running game didn't do much. You don't really expect it to, though. And then Vaughn Bennett, 7 for $120 and 1. I tried to get Moreland some playing time here in the preseason. He played 132 downs, so only 5 catches, a little disappointing there. Jermaine Smart, 10 for 136. That'll probably secure him a spot on the roster. Not bad. And then defensively, Dante Norton had a pair of TFLs. And we had 4 sacks as a defense. Devontae Young picked one up. DeAndre Melton. And then for INTs, we could not take the football away. And we're going to end preseason by trading Pete Werner to the Minnesota Vikings. And they gave us a 4th round pick. We have a couple young linebackers to play, so we want to focus on just getting snaps for Alex Alexander. And then Callum Swanson, our rookie out of UCLA. All right, looks like a running back became available who might actually be an upgrade, and he's only 25 years old. Here is Otis Bowers. I think we've got to go make the signing here and just try to get our running game as much talent as we can. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be good, but we've got to get as much as we can. So there we go. We've put together our team for the true first year in this 5-year franchise rebuild, and I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that this could be a team that isn't as bad. You know, they won a single game in the previous year. I feel like we can raise the bar a little bit, but how much exactly? I do want to see, of course, Vaughn Bennett play a lot, and then Sean Moreland as well. Hopefully this is a good offense for quarterback Eli Rushing to continue his development, and I'd really hate to see him lose his star development. On the defensive side, it's very much a work in progress. You feel like there isn't really a star now as we got rid of Marshawn Lattimore, but it's a young defense at least. that should develop over the course of the year, and you got guys like Callum Swanson who might be able to develop if he has a good rookie year. And even if not, he's already a 77, so I think he's going to be very good. So I guess now it's time to put this team to the test, and we kick off against the Atlanta Falcons. And just like that, we have won our first game already, matching last year's win total, 26-21 over the Atlanta Falcons. This screen looks a bit different compared to years past here in the team schedule section. Eli Rushing had a pair of touchdowns and 311 yards, so a really good week one for him, 10.4 yards per attempt. And Bijan Robinson had 3 touchdowns. You know, our running game could have been a whole lot worse. To simply be average, I think, is the goal. And we did a pretty good job of that. And Vaughn Bennett in his NFL debut, 9 catches, 136 yards, and a touchdown. That is a great way to start your career. And then Sean Moreland even had 3 for 58. So he's helping out. Chris Olave didn't have to do much. Just watch the rookies take over. And then we picked up 2 sacks. Foskey has star Dev. He's one of our top pass rushers. And then Devontae Young picked up 1. And I also like seeing here tackle leader Callum Swanson picked up a 12 with a pass deflection. These deflections, by the way, are worth 75 experience each. But it's not all good news, as we did suffer an injury in this game. And I have seen a lot of injuries overall in Madden 24. This injury happens to be to our starting running back, Otis Bowers. We'll see how our running game fares without him. We're not able to put together a second consecutive victory, however, losing this next game to Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers, as Herbert had 3 touchdowns and Rushing only managed the single one. For the running game, Theo Gardner handled most of our carries and only had 3 yards a carry, so not a promising showing there. Brandon Ayuk had a massive game, and then Chris Olave made up for a quiet week 1 with a 12 catches, while Vaughn Bennett put in another good effort with 995 and a touchdown. Defensively, looks like we got a sack for Tyrone Thorne and Devontae Young, so Young's got a couple already. But Jermaine Johnson had a very big day. And that was all up against the player we got replacing Ryan Ramczyk. It's the same score as we lose the Sean Payton Bowl in week 3. Jared Goff threw 6 passes in this game, and he threw another interception. Eli Rushing had 2 touchdowns. I really hope there wasn't like some sort of late game injury, because I don't have a plan B. I don't know what I'm doing if the quarterback gets hurt. Madden hasn't made me worry about that in a while. Jeez, Cortland Sutton, have a day. And then Vaughn Bennett, man, 3 games, 3 big-time performances. $143 and 2 touchdowns. Quite the impressive start for the Penn State rookie receiver, showing why he went number 1. And at the same time, Sean Moreland from Tennessee State continues to produce and help out. I like how this playbook, by the way, for us, looks like we're using a lot of different pass catchers. Like, a lot of the simulation in the past was like 3 receivers get involved, a tight end or 2, a running back or 2. And now it seems like there's just a little bit more sprinkled down the depth chart. But we drop our second game. Defense allows 31 points for the second consecutive week, so obviously a major work in progress. We're going to have a good offense before we ever even think about having a good defense. Oh, just please don't tell me that Eli's hurt. The injury is to... Oh, God. It's only 3 weeks, though. We're going to be signing a 3rd quarterback, or I guess a 2nd quarterback now for this week. Welcome, everybody, to Phillip Phillips, who is going to be backing up Jared Goff. You can't be serious, man. Jared Goff couldn't win this game. We allowed 14 points. Sam Howell just beat Jared Goff, who throws another interception. 5.3 yards per attempt. This has been a complete mess of a signing. Theo Gardner runs in a touchdown. Breece Hall got a pair. I didn't realize how far forward I had simulated, by the way. I didn't realize I went all the way to 2028. So, like, we're really into the future more than I even expected to be. So, Goff was able to get the ball to Chris Olave, but now it's the quietest day so far for rookie receiver Vaughn Bennett, who had 1.5 fantasy points. No turnovers, no sacks. We still had a really good day. Brian Bresee had 3 tackles for loss. Those are pretty good as well for developing and getting XP. But the defense plays their best game of the year. We take the L for the 3rd straight week. Injuries are piling up as well. Is that going to be more of a factor in this game? I'm looking forward to the challenge if so, but it's making this real tough. As now we lose backup right tackle Trayvon Beckham. Oh, come on! I totally missed it. The number 1 pick's going to be missing a few games now. You know Madden loves their torn labrums. Come on, man. Starting quarterback, running back, best rookie receiver, number 1 pick. What kind of luck is this? I am not enjoying the Jared Goff experience, but I think it's finally over as we drop our 5th consecutive game. It's clear this defense is nowhere near rebuilt. Goff throws an interception in literally every game. Otis Bowers is back, so the running game can maybe get back on track. But the offense is completely screwed. Good to see Callum Swanson pick up 11 tackles, a sack, and a deflection. So when it comes to experience points, sacks are worth 200, and touchdowns on offense are worth 250. So getting a sack is pretty valuable experience. So good to see this from Callum Swanson. Another injury, by the way. Please tell me we're at least getting healthier overall. Brian Bresee is going to miss a few games. So now we can look forward to Vaughn Bennett coming back and having our quarterback as well. That might give us a fighting chance at a couple more wins. Yeah, that's as close as we've come since our actual victory, and we outgained the Cardinals by 140 yards. I don't know how we're losing some of these strange games, but Eli Rushing came back. 78% completion percentage, 329. Like, he's put up really good games. Why couldn't Jared Goff do anything in this offense? And then John Mechie had himself a very big game. Jake Ferguson, 6 for 73, and Sean Moreland. So, not much in the return for Vaughn Bennett. So, we got some free agents we could look to possibly trade here at the deadline. Isaiah Foskey doesn't want to come back. We got to get pass rushers. It hurts to possibly lose one, but if he doesn't want to be here, then let's get something while we can. Oh, do I potentially have the move right here? Please tell me they'll take this. They need an edge rusher. Come on, KC. Yes! We might have our running back of the future now. I have added many, as you can tell. Kerry Sims is the newest one. He's 24 years old, normal development, but an 80 overall with his temporary boost. This man has 99 break tackle to go with 88 speed, 98 carrying. So here's the power back that we need to be getting the ball to. He's got 11 career rushing touchdowns, a couple more through the air, and it's time for him to get that chance to start. He's a former 2nd round pick. Couldn't really break through with Kansas City. We won! We did it! 27-10. How about that? The move we needed was to go and get Kerry Sims, 81 yards and a touchdown here in his Saints debut, helping us score a win. Vaughn Bennett scores a pair of touchdowns as well. So at least we've already won more games than the previous year. Taking over, making big changes. It would appear that did not completely fix our team, however. 2-8. Last place. Bad offense, bad defense, apparently. Team turmoil. What's going on now? Coach, there are reports of a divide in the locker room between the offense and the defense, which has been struggling. What is there to be mad at? Y'all both suck. No, man. Linebacker Callum Swanson's down 5 weeks. I thought he was on track to maybe go earn like a development boost or something. He was at least really productive. This just hurts that he'll miss the next 5 games. He was at 64 tackles, 3 for a loss. Was definitely getting good development out of this season. But we're about to make Vaughn Bennett an 80 overall as a rookie. And the development should be revealed now. Star Dev. Lower than I had hoped. But if he wins Rookie of the Year, it gets boosted to Superstar. And he's doing a pretty good job. But if there are any quarterbacks here playing in the NFC, and I know that Tampa took one and maybe a couple other teams, can he be Rookie of the Year and get that development boost that we're looking for? I don't know why he got the ball so much here. But can we possibly get back to this? We got Devin Turner here as well, getting a boost. Looking like a 78 overall right now with normal dev. And Turner does have 1 INT to go with 4 deflections, 54 tackles. Well, we lost again, and here is the team turmoil story continuing. Adversity builds character. That's one way to spin a terrible season. You're 2-9. Good to know morale's in a wonderful spot. But it's not all bad. Breakout defensive lineman opportunity. What do we got here in Week 12? It's going to be Brian Bresee. Could we get him to star development? That's what we like to see. Overtime walk-off winner. Win number 3 on the season. What do we do this time? Kerry Sims, 3 touchdowns. I'm saying he walked that off with a 1-yard touchdown, basically. Kerry Sims gets the job done. Vaughn Bennett, 6 for 61. And defensively, no interceptions. We also didn't get a sack of Bryce Young. I'd like to see us do a little bit more there, especially because we had a breakout chance there for Brian Bresee. Definitely hurts to not get these breakout chances when the star dev ones show up, because those are very obtainable. But hey, we're going to come back against Cleveland, and we've got a chance now for the upgrade for Kerry Sims. 3 touchdowns the week ago. And if he is able to get 2 in the next game, we'll get him a boost. And now we're getting the trench boost scenario to show up as well. And this is for the offensive line keeping the quarterback clean. So if we can do that again, we can get a nice XP boost. And this is always a good way to get a bunch of experience for your O-lineman. And we lost. Just can't go back to back. 1 passing touchdown for Eli rushing. And Kerry Sims did not find the end zone. Was not a great day for him. Otis Bowers found the end zone instead. And no one really stood out here receiving. Well, at least the trench boost scenario went pretty well, so I think we'll be seeing a good across-the-board upgrade. Whoa, 10,000! That is massive for offensive linemen. It's basically 20,000 because I have the XP sliders boosting them. And then while we're at it, why don't we stay grinding throughout our Week 14 bye week? Y'all are about to have a big bye week here in a few weeks. It's called the Offseason. And we get to the end of the year. The Saints have gone 4-13. It is a 400% increase in victories in the last year, which I think is pretty impressive. And we avoided being the worst team in the NFL this season at least. But we're tied with 3 other teams at 4-13. So Eli Rushing had 21 touchdowns to 10 interceptions this year, and this is kind of a disappointing year when you consider just the way things had started. It looked like he was going to put up pretty big numbers, especially in terms of yardage. Like in the first 3 weeks of the season, He had 311, 323, and 345, and nobody else had more through the first 3 weeks. But if we sort by his most passing yards, it was weeks 1, 2, and 3, week 7, and those were the only games he went above 300 yards. So he wasn't the same coming back from his injury. So now he's 23, going on 24, star dev, and honestly didn't get the most out of this year. But is it any reason to give up on him is the question. Kerry Sims ran in 8 touchdowns. That led the team, but overall this was not a good rushing team. Not yet, at least. Chris Olave was the team's leading receiver. He had 1,268 yards, but Vaughn Bennett had a very respectable 990 and 11 touchdowns. I'm not sure that's going to give him Rookie of the Year, but at least it was very productive, and we did a lot better when we got him the football a lot. Hopefully there's more of that on the way, but not a bad season 1 for Vaughn Bennett. And then you had Jake Ferguson and John Mechie both get to 688 yards. Sean Moreland 322. Looks like Mechie had kind of taken him over on the depth chart there at some point, or something happened. Yep, gonna have to look at the sacks that Trevor Penning is giving up. That might be something to do in the next offseason. And then defensively, Alex Alexander, 102 tackles, led the team, 3 sacks, 8 TFLs. But man, what a pitiful pass rush we put on the field this year. Even with Tyrone Thorne, I thought he'd do a little bit better. Devontae Young only had 4 sacks, and everything was led by Grady Jarrett, who's not even really a big part of the rebuild. So, not happy with that, and that's part of why defensive end was our national scout, and where we plan on hopefully going early in the draft this year. We only intercepted 3 passes. Looks like one of our best DBs may have been Devin Turner with his 6 deflections and 1 interception. 97 tackles. That could tell you he gave up a lot of catches and had to make a lot of tackles. And then the rookie kicker, Kevin Beretta, 17 of 21. I suppose we'll take this for a season 1 from him. But that's how our Saints have done here, 1 year into what I would like to be a 5-year rebuild. Oh, that's awesome though. Vaughn Bennett is Offensive Rookie of the Year. Despite not getting like elite numbers, he did pull it off. So he should be getting a dev boost. So close with Devin Turner. I mean, he came in second, and going from normal to star is so big. That one really hurts to miss on. So this right here is where we're going to end things. Vaughn Bennett does earn superstar development. That was one of our big wins here during this season. Eli Rushing didn't lose his star. That's also very key. And then for the defense, we've got to find who the cornerstone player is going to be. There's nobody here that's above an 80 overall. No wonder the defense was terrible. But if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more rebuilds like this, and for me to continue this worst rebuild mini-series, then I can do so and try to turn these New Orleans Saints into a much better team. 4-13 is not a great start considering we had an okay line and quarterback and 2 really good receivers. Clearly there's a lot more that needs to be done. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.